Hey creators, welcome back to the club. We're your hosts. I'm Ebony Chapman.
And I'm Akila Friend.
You guys, our guest today, she's a producer of television and digital content by day and an entrepreneur by night, okay? So she produces live and virtual fashion shows and teaches aspiring models how to strut their stuff on that catwalk, okay? So we're gonna be talking about career pivots and the diversity within the entertainment industry. We are pleased to welcome Nikol to the show.
Hello, ladies. Thank you for having me. So excited to be finally get a chance to be on the Black Creators Club. Yeah, I've been tuning in and now my time has come.
Yeah.
There we go. That's the energy we love, right? It's only a matter of time. Only a matter of time.
Only a matter of time.
I'm like, now I've had all my little trio when we used to work together. So I know Nikol, we used to work together at OWN. So now had our little trio group on the podcast. So Fatima's the other one. So if you guys haven't seen that episode, check that out. Okay, so go ahead and just kind of tell us who you are, Nikol, like give us a little intro to yourself. We just want to give you that space to be able to claim the things you want to claim.
Oh, okay. Well, let me go ahead and claim it. My name is Nikol Davis, and I am a California girl born and raised, and I love it here. And this is the place to make your dreams come true. And I really believe that. I'm also somebody who believes heavily in God. And I feel like God has really guided my path because all of the things that I'm going to talk about today are things that kind of fell in my lap. It's not anything that I looked for to pursue. That my television career was something that just kind of came along. And my runway career is something that just kind of came along. And I think that's something that's really important is to stay connected to God. But what I do is as Ebony has already introduced me, I am a producer of television and digital content by day. And then I run 2 runway-based businesses. So my first one is Nikol Talent Group, which I founded in 2012. And we're your one-stop shop for fashion events. So we specialize in runway coaching, runway choreography, fashion show production, audition hosting. We have a roster of models, hair and makeup stylists, photographers, whatever you need for your fashion event. And then I also am a founding member and executive of One Strut Runway Entertainment Group, which is a performance troupe of African-American models. And what we do is specialize in runway choreography. So we're going to come to your event, whatever your event is, and we're going to put on a show. And our fashion show is not going to just be the typical show that you see on the high fashion runways, just walking up and down the runway, showing off the clothes. We're going to give you a show. We're going to walk to the beat of the music. We're going to have synchronized and choreographed steps. We're going to walk in partners or in large groups. And we're going to show you how the clothes actually move and on various shapes of bodies. And, you know, our goal is to break the beauty standards. So where typically you see the models on the runway, you don't see a lot of African-American models. And when you do see them, they are, 5'10" and up, and they're like a size 0 to 2, maybe 4. And so we have various body types. We have various skin tones. We have various varying heights. And we walk with men as well. And so we just want to bring something, it's something that, we started One Strut in 2017, but actually we had been modeling together as a group since for over 10 years. And it's something that we all have a passion for, and we love it. So that's what I do. When you see me, I'm either coaching young aspiring models, or I'm on the runway walking with One Strut, or I'm behind the scenes producing a show or coaching, and I love it. So that's me.
So obviously that was super loaded what you shared, and it's so impressive that you've been doing all of this for 10 years plus. What prompted you to pursue modeling in the way that you have, as from 10 years ago? It's something where you think of, I don't know if you went first, you were looking to become, let's say, the next Naomi Campbell, the next Tyra Banks, et cetera, and saw that this was a better avenue. Were you always looking to more so coach? I'm curious, where did that passion come to be?
It all started going back in the day. My mom was a runway model when I was growing up, just as a little girl. And so we would do these family reunions every other year, and she would always be in charge of putting the fashion show together. So I was always her little like sidekick, and she would teach me all the different moves, and she would choreograph a little something, and we would teach it to all of our cousins down in Louisiana. And I always grew up dancing. So ballet, tap, jazz, piano. I've always kind of been a performer since a little girl. And so my mom was asked to put on a fashion show for our church. And of course, just as always, her little sidekick. So I was there, but at this point, uh, I was older. And so we put on the fashion show for the church. It was fine. And one of the girls, right after that, she was kind of the model of the church. And she would, she was doing all kinds of different things. And she told me, she said, Nikki, I went to an audition. I think you'd be great for it. I feel really bad because I didn't tell you about it. So I told the guy about you. They're expecting you to show up on Saturday. Just go. And so I said, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll go and check out what this is all about. And I went, and it was this guy, and he was putting this group together, and it was a lot of choreographed runway modeling. And so I did the one show, and I had fun, and I made some friends, and he asked me to do another one. And after I did the second show, I said, oh, you know what? I really like this. And he kind of was the one that sparked this passion and love for choreographed modeling for me. And he invited me to come to some of the Ebony Fashion Fair shows, because there was a group called Ebony Fashion Fair. It was a show that was put on by Ebony magazine. That was Black models that would travel the country for 8 months out of the year and put on a show. And it was highly choreographed. And so he would invite me to come to the shows with him and see the shows and meet some of the models afterwards. And then he wanted to start a teen group. So he asked me to help and choreograph and coach some of the kids. And that's how I started coaching. But that was kind of where my love for it came. So these girls that are all a part of One Strut we all came from this original group. And unfortunately, he passed away. And that's kind of when we said, you know what, let's do our own thing and kind of spice it up with our own style and make it a little bit more modern and, with the music that we want to choose. And so we kind of took our love and what people see when they see us walk together, we get a lot of compliments about how in sync we are and how well we walk together. But it is because we've been walking together for so long. But that's how it all started.
Yeah, I mean, that is so cool. I mean, honestly, if you guys have not seen this type of like modeling, you guys need to go on like Nikol's website, because it is, or her like Instagram. It is actually insane. I've never seen, I think it's very unique because I've never seen, normally it's just you're walking down the runway like you see on like a fashion show, like one model after another. But this is like full on, almost like a dance. Like she was saying, it was literally like moving and grooving and intertwining and all the things. Like it's beautiful to watch. And I also want to congratulate you, because I know last year you did Fashionetta for the AKAs. They have like a charity event, I guess you could say, a fundraiser that they do every year down in Arizona. It's actually my grad chapter. That
what a coincidence.
I know, because I went to Arizona State. So, I'm a Zeta Alpha. So that was our grad chapter when I was in school there. So she did Fashionetta for them, and it was beautiful. So congrats on that. And honestly, can you just like take us through I guess like the undertaking of what that fashion show is like? Like, what are you, like when you're choreographing something, is it like, okay, we're doing this, we have 10 hours of practicing, how are you picking your models? Are you just sticking with the girls? Like, all the things, like tell us, like fashion shows, like they're insane. So like we're all curious.
Fashion shows are insane. They really are. And this show in particular was originally supposed to happen in 2020. And we all know what happened in 2020. The pandemic hit and everything was just crazy and we couldn't predict anything that was going to happen. And so it got postponed to 2021. And it went from being an in-person show where we were going to travel to Arizona and put on a live event to now being a virtual fashion show, which was exciting for me because I was able to marry my television production experience with my passion for fashion show production and really put together something that was fun. So of course I'm all inspired by Black is King and, our and Rihanna's Savage X Fenty fashion shows, because if you look at that, that's also choreographed modeling as well. You know, her first show, the first annual, was a little bit more choreographed modeling, and then the last 2 years have been more dance show, you know, in the clothes. But still, like, that's just kind of like, I just love it. And so anyway, this particular show, we had to pivot from doing it as a live show to doing it as a virtual show. So I had to find our production crew. We had to locate a venue, because those were things that we didn't have to worry about. We were going to Arizona, the AKAs, they were taking care of all of the things. And so now we have to find it all ourselves, which was not a problem. It was just adding to our list of things to do. So we're scouting venues. We are talking to them. What do you need from this show? So it was the 75th anniversary. They wanted a pink and green scene. They wanted a hat scene. You know, they had their wants that they wanted. We want men. We wanted older gentlemen, so that our older sorors can have somebody for their eyes too. So we're like, okay, all right. So we need an older man. We need to find this. We need to find that. So we wanted to take the AKA needs in. But then also we wanted to make sure that we are giving what we give, because we need to be authentic to who we are and what we do. And so, then we have to start picking music. We have to, and the thing is with music, it has to be a good walking beat. It can't be too slow to walk to. It can't be too fast to walk to. So you have to find the right tempo of music. Then we got to work on choreographing. You know, we have to find our male models. And when we're selecting our models, yes, we want to find models that know, preferably we're looking for models that we have worked with in the past, or someone who has a dance background. If you have a dance background, you know how to move your body, you know how to perform, you know what your face is doing, and you know how to walk to the beat, or you can feel the beat and the rhythm of the music. And so that's really important in us keeping in sync with our steps, is because we are walking to the beat. Then we have our cues that we call, and we have the steps, and you have to be able to pick up the steps too. So we definitely look for somebody who has dance experience. With the men, it's a little harder to find male models that have dance experience. So, and the choreography that we do for the men is not as intricate as the choreography that we do for the women. So we kind of just find guys that we know have a strong walk, and that we can teach to walk on the beat. And if we could teach you to walk on the beat, we can teach you how to do a half turn and a full turn, then you're good. All right, you're in, you got it. And now we just need to teach you how to walk with people. But we try to find guys that are around the same height as well, because when we're walking together, you don't want it to look off with somebody who's like 6'5" and another guy that's like 5'10". You know, that doesn't look right. So we have to try to find people who are somewhat close in height. And then if we have such big discrepancies, then we just won't pair those people together to walk. But
How
yeah,
long did it take you to like get all of that together?
Oh man, I think we started working on this show probably April, probably around April or May, and then we shot it in November. But we were basically, a lot of it was just pre-production, because then we had to find our designers. We had to lock our designers in. We have to make sure the designers can fit all of our sizes. Do you fit full figured models? Do you fit, you know, what's your size range? If you only fit size 2 to 0, then, you know, we can't use you. So we have to find the designers that are going to work with us. We have to, it was so much work. It was so much work. But to be honest, we only actually rehearsed for a month before the show. So we had rehearsal every Sunday for 4 weeks. And then we added a couple extra rehearsals in there too. And I'm cracking the whip. All right, you guys better be rehearsing. And what we do is we would record our rehearsals, and then we put them up on Google Drive so that people have the music, they have the video. So if you forgot what you did in rehearsal, we have the video right here. Watch your video and come back prepared next week. You know, like, because we don't have a lot of time. Yeah. We had to schedule fittings. There's just so many things that come into it. You have to book the hair and makeup team. You have to book the production team, who's going to be doing the lighting. You know, you have to get everything in place. And then if we're shooting in this location for 8 hours, we got to have a lunch break, right? And then somebody has to bring in some food. So there's just so much to keep in mind when you're producing a fashion show, but it's so rewarding for me. And I think the biggest thing for me was we have our people that we've been modeling with for so many years. So they know what it is. They know that you're coming to rehearsals. They know that we're going to be in rehearsals learning this stuff. They know the drill. But when we had the new people that came in, and then they come in and they're like, I have so much fun. Please let me know when the next show is. And they're not upset that they have to come to so many rehearsals, because honestly, when you're doing just a regular high fashion show, you don't have to rehearse except the day of the show. You show up the day of, you may do a run through. So you just kind of see the pattern that you're going to walk, and that's it. You just show up and you walk and you're done. So to ask somebody to come to weeks of rehearsals to learn choreography and, put in all this extra time, that's a lot to ask of someone. So when someone is doing that, and then after it's all said and done, they're happy and they want to do more, and it's somebody new coming in, it's not somebody that's been doing this with us for years, that to me is like a testament to like, okay, I'm going to keep doing this, because it's not just us that love it. There's other people who want to be involved, and there's people who really enjoy the show. And so afterwards, the AKAs, they said, this show was the talk of the town and they loved the men. I said, okay, all right, then we need to make sure we get our men on point and make sure we still have them for all the shows.
Makes sense. And I can absolutely see some of our sorors saying that. I think it's so interesting too, just the fact that I never knew about choreographed modeling before talking to you. Like, same in terms of how you're describing high fashion shows. That's what I thought it really took in terms of being a model, or having that moment of you showcasing that you're a model. So I'm just curious, especially knowing again that you've done this in some capacity for 10 plus years, like even with your mom, if you want to take it back to there, and the evolution of the fashion industry, the evolution of the modeling industry. My preview or like purview into modeling is really through America's Next Top Model, Tyra Banks, all of that. And even seeing some of the flack that she's been getting as of late in terms of how they've selected, not selected, what they've had some of the models do for different challenges. We can agree to disagree in terms of whether any of that was right or wrong. But when it comes to you and picking your models and creating this space for models within your industry and within what you do within One Strut and your other company as well, when you do coaching, like what do you think about outside of, obviously, as you mentioned, them having to dance or a dancing experience? What else does it take to truly be a model?
Oh, that's a great question. And I think, and I love that you're asking this question at this time when the industry is, you're starting to see a shift. And it's so great because, companies like Savage X Fenty, like if you look at their Instagram and you look at their website, they are so inclusive of so many people with disabilities, people of all sizes, people of all colors, males and females. And I really love that. And that's one thing that I don't want to put a limit on who can be a model and who cannot be a model. So when it comes to what I do with Nikol Talent Group and my runway coaching, I'm accepting of whoever wants to come. If you want to come and you're willing to learn, and that's really what it is. When I'm just doing regular runway coaching, it's all about, are you willing to help yourself? Like I'm not trying to coach someone who feels like they know it all and I don't need this. And okay, well then you don't need it then. But the thing is, I'm here to help you. And so are you willing to help yourself? And someone who just has the desire and the passion. And the thing is too, one of the things that's so fulfilling for me is, even if this person only comes to a couple of classes and only does a couple of fashion shows and they end up not pursuing modeling as a career in the long run, to be able to see someone come in and not know how to work, not know how to walk, and then within an hour, you see such a difference in their walk and you see a difference in their confidence. It's really such a blessing to me to see someone grow in confidence, and just by giving them a couple of skills and adjusting their walk a little bit, and then they feel so much stronger about themselves. And I feel like that's my little piece of helping the world a little bit, just to spark somebody a little bit more confidence in someone's in their mind, in their heart, within themselves. But back to your question, what does it take to be a model? Anybody can be a model, really. It just takes the passion and the drive and the ambition. And like I said, the willingness to help yourself. So get the training that you need. If you're looking for someone to teach you how to pose for photo shoots, then go find a posing coach, and just know that you don't have to spend a lot of money to make it happen. You don't have to go take a $2,000 class, and you don't have to spend 5,000 on photos, and you don't have to, you don't have to do all of that. All you have to do is there's a number of places that you can go if you're looking for where the auditions are. There are, I always say my number one thing that I tell people who are looking to pursue modeling is to get a set of solid photos, because really everything is digital right now. So before you get called into an audition, unless it's something that you see that says just show up at this day at this time, which is not usually it. So a lot of times you have to submit a photo. So you need strong enough photos to get invited into the audition room. Then once you're in the audition room, it's up to you to sell it. So whether it's a print audition or whether it's a runway audition, then you need to make sure you know how to walk, or you need to make sure that you know what your angles are for your photos. And it's on you at that point. But before then, you have to get called into that audition room, and it's your photos that are going to sell you. So I do tell people, you want to make sure you get solid photos. You want to have a headshot, which is basically just kind of, the chest up, and you're just smiling. I mean, there's various forms of headshots, but something where we can see what your face looks like. We have the beauty shots, we have the model headshots, you have acting headshots, you have commercial, and you have theatrical headshots. So there's so many different variations of headshots. But then also as a model, you want to have at least one solid full body shot. So one solid headshot, one solid full body shot, because we want to see what you look like, and we want to see what your shape looks like.
Makes sense. And then you said so folks find auditions, I'm guessing just like hashtag modeling audition, or is there a website that folks go to? What do people do to get those auditions?
I mean, there are so many websites. Like there's these social media accounts that are basically kind of like a Facebook, but just for models. So there's there's One Model Place, there's Model Mayhem, there's so many of these new ones that are popping up that I can't even keep track of. Then you have social media accounts on Instagram, like oh my goodness, the name just left me. But yeah, there's a number of accounts on Instagram where it's basically all auditions. Some of them are music video auditions, some of them are going to be, casting for photo shoots, and they have just everything. So you can go to the different sites on Instagram. And then of course, if you have an agent, that's always the highest way to find the jobs, because when you have an agency, they're going to get you the highest paid jobs, and they're going to get you the highest caliber of jobs. So typically, if you're booking something on your own, it's going to be lower scale. It doesn't mean it's bootleg. I'm not saying it's going to be bootleg and it's not going to be not paid. And I'm not saying you can't make good money being a freelance artist. However, or a freelance model. But when you have an agency, that's when you get the high end runway shows. That's when you get the bigger paying jobs.
Makes sense. Oh, you're a wealth of information when it comes.
You really are. She's literally giving us all the digs and how to, y'all, if y'all trying to be a model, child, call Nikol. But you touched on a piece of you said confidence, right? You were saying that the whole you come to the class, and when they leave, they have so much confidence, and it's crazy and funny to me, because I was thinking I've always wanted, now this is little insider secret, okay? I've always wanted to be a hip hop dancer, but not because I know I can dance, I can't dance, that's the problem, but because I love the way hip hop movements are, and how they are so confident with how they move their body, and how they can pop and lock and drop it and do all the things, and it just looks so sexy to me, it just looks amazing. And then if you have partners and how that looks together, I'm I just want to do that, I just think it's amazing. So I love the idea of going to class and coming out being a whole different, you have to be confident to be a model. I feel that's a number one thing that has to show up. You and the confidence have to come to the audition, because otherwise I don't know, it's not going to be well for you. But we also talked about social media. And so I wanted to just ask you, how do you think that the social media space has changed modeling? Because, I feel when we're going back to what Akila said, if we're on, can you guys hear me? Is it?
Yeah.
Crazy? Okay. Yeah, I was like, it started crinkling in my ear.
But I saw you moving, so I was like, okay, somebody heard it.
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah.
Okay, good. I know Zoom is just acting up on us today, y'all. But you talked social media, and so we talked about Tyra Banks and going on the go-sees. Like that's how, right? You go on the go-sees, you do the headshot, you have to walk in and walk out, do this audition all day long and see who's going to take you for their fashion show. How do you think that social media has now maybe changed that, or is it still very much so that way in the modeling space?
Social media has absolutely changed the landscape of modeling. And now, even when you have an agent, they want to know what all your social sites are, your social pages. And even if you're as a freelance model, when you're going to auditions, it's one of the things that you're filling out. Like, give us your Instagram, give us your social pages, because they want to see what you really look like. Because a lot of times, people, they do submit these photos that are extremely edited. So that was one thing I didn't say, but you do want to make sure that your photos actually look like you. Don't have the photographer switching up your nose and changing your face and changing your body, which people do. I've seen people do. So yeah, social media is such a thing now, especially if you're doing something for a higher end brand. They want to find people who are basically like influencers or baby influencers. They want you to have a certain number of followers if they can. If they have the option to find somebody who they both of them have the look, but one of them has the look and the followers, they're going to go with the one that has the look and the followers. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot have a modeling career if you don't have over 15,000 followers, but I will say, if you do have a lot of followers and you're trying to pursue something in some sort of entertainment or fashion, it's definitely helpful. And I think that the reason why, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm just kind of going off of just even my experience at OWN. My experience at OWN and even where I'm working now, we're looking for people who have sort of a built-in audience, because that's already an audience that's likely going to follow this person to whatever it is that they're doing or they're promoting, or whatever it is that they're advertising. And so, or if you're looking for talent to host a show or whatever it is, you're looking for somebody that already has that following, that built-in audience, that like you don't want to have to build somebody up, which is unfortunate, because there's a lot of people with great talent that have yet to be discovered. Somebody has to be discovered somewhere. And just because they're not active on social media does not mean that that's not the person for you. So I don't personally, I feel like you can take it or leave it. Like I am not a fan of how social media has changed the industry, because the people who really work on their craft, who may not have the following, may not get the jobs. And just like how, Tyra, even on America's Next Top Model, she talks a lot about how all the actresses are now on the covers of the magazines instead of the models. I feel like it's kind of the same thing. All of the influencers are taking a lot of the model gigs from the actual models. And, no shade to the influencers, because congrats to them. But then now what are the models going to do? So now the models are trying to keep up with social media and making sure that I'm only posting the best photos of me, and don't tag me in that photo because it hasn't been edited. And, it's one more thing to have to manage and to take care of and to keep up with, instead of just focusing on the craft itself.
This is the real, okay, Nikol, this is the real deal, because it's so true. And I love that you even included that Tyra bit, because it's true. Everyone right now is so focused on saying the influencers are taking this and that, but no one is talking about like these actresses or actors in general, or folks who are not, this is not necessarily your craft, but to be able, or major musicians, etc. And now you're the cover of the September issue of Vogue, for instance. You're the cover of this and that, versus the true models. And I think it's again, no shade and they're not the decision makers here. They're the ones that are reaping the benefits. It's no problem. Who's going to say no to that if you're given that opportunity? But it definitely does lend itself to the rise and the need for everyone to be this multi-hyphenate, and whether or not that's a blessing or a curse, but this is the reason folks have side hustles. This is the reason why folks have multiple titles. This is the reason, because especially in these industries, you can't price yourself out. You can't, work yourself out of that. And so it's so interesting. I don't know what the so what or the I guess the cure to this is,
right.
But we all notice that this is what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at even, Kerry Washington, whom I love, by the way, is like the face of Neutrogena. And, it's like all these actresses are doing all the modeling things, and the influencers are the faces you see now in Sephora and in Ulta. And it's like, oh, okay. I'm seeing the shift. I'm seeing what's happening here. So it's just one other thing that as a model, you have to just keep up with and to stay in the game. But you're right. Even in the world of production, which is the other half of my life, I was just kind of scrolling through and seeing what's available, what's out there. And I see all these job postings that's like looking for a producer who also can shoot and edit and direct and this and that. And I'm like, okay, like, dang it. Like, now let me get my editing skills up, and let me get my directing skills up, and let me get my, you do have to be multifaceted in so many different areas, because we're looking for a one-stop shop that does it all in one person.
And that's
for that same price.
Right. For the same price. Like, yeah, exactly, Akila. And it's interesting, as we're saying, like this shift, right, that we're all noticing. It's kind of like, and I'm sure we do not have the solution to the problem on this call, but I am or on this podcast episode, but it's kind of that, how do you discover new talent, right? Like, I feel like that's the question I feel like I want to start asking, because it's like, what do you do now that, you have these followers, you're doing the thing. If you don't have 10K plus, no one's looking your way. And that's for, JoJo Siwa, for example, like she has her own thing that she did. She had Dance Moms, right? So like, do you now get on a reality show to then make yourself have more followers to then promote and push and get the job that you're looking for? Like, if that's what we're coming to, like, what does that say for the industry? Like, what are we as an entertainment space saying that it's like, oh, the only way you can get poppin' is like go on a reality show, because that's the only way people are going to see you. It's the only way you're going to get followers. And it's just like, again, how do we break new talent? Like, how are we coming out and being like, this is super dope, and it's not from like a celebrity, and it's not from someone who's like, like an influencer? Like, how do we, what does that space look like?
Exactly, because
that from the lens of a producer, because like we said, that is your other role as well, in addition to Nikol Talent Agency and One Strut.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel like you've brought up such a vital question, because that is it. How do you find the new talent in a world full of influencers and people who have already been established, and reality stars and, the likes? And I think you just have to dig. You have to dig deep, and you have to be willing to put in that work to find those people. I think if I were to just give a quick answer of how would I find people, I think I would go to Instagram pages, social pages of the big, the big influencers, the big people that I'm looking for somebody that's like a, I don't know, X influencer. And then I'm going to go and look at their followers and just take time scouring the pages. Oh, okay, this person's similar. This person's similar. Oh, okay. And just kind of see who I can find, because they're probably going to be following those people that they want to emulate, so.
But do you think that's a harder sell when you're now pitching that to an executive, or pitching that to a show, to then be like, hey, I found this amazing person. Look at how funny this person is. And now they're like, well, who is this person? Like, we don't know that. I don't recognize this person. Like,
right.
We've done that Akila and I, we have our pitch decks and our this and that, and people are like, who's this? Who's that? What did I like? And it matters, and you're like, Now you have to go a whole explanation as to like who this person is, why this person's important, why we have them on the podcast, why, it's just like no one's listening. That's the problem.
No one's listening. And I think that's what's great about this podcast, Black Creators Club, because you are giving voice to people who don't always have a voice. And this interview, being on this podcast, could be the start of someone being able to establish who they are to somebody else who's looking for somebody. Who is this person? Well, you may not know about this person, but they've done this podcast and this podcast. They've done this interview and this interview. They were featured in this magazine and they were, but it has to start somewhere, and somebody's going to take notice and someone's going to want to feature them. And then from there, it can continue to grow, but it has to start from somewhere. And so you're right. I had an experience where I pitched something to some executives and at a network, and they were like, "Oh, we love this. Oh, okay, great. How many followers does he have?" And I said, "Well, he doesn't have a large following. He has only, I don't even remember how many, but it was like very low followers." And they were like, "Oh, okay." And it's so disappointing. Like, you just loved him until I told you his followers. So why is it an issue? Like, why can't we be the first to discover? And that's what I don't understand, why people don't want to be the ones to discover. For me, I would love to be the first one to be like, I saw her first and I brought her out, and look at where she's at now.
No one wants to be puffy. Everyone wants to be a billionaire, but ain't nobody want to put in the work.
Nobody wants to put in the work. Nobody wants to go walk to get the cheesecake.
Period. There we go.
And it's very disappointing how the industry has gone in that way. But then also, I mean, it's great for influencers. They're making money. And now that's something that people aspire to be. I want to be an influencer. Like, it's something that little kids look to do when they grow up, because you can make money by doing that. And it's great. And I'm sure it's a lot of work for them as well to continuously put out content and stay relevant and keep up with what's going on. But I do think it's unfortunate how it has affected how things are happening for the people who may not be so into social and just want to walk the runways and just want to, do their job.
That's exactly it. And I want to make sure that we kind of touch on the fact that you produce as well, right? And I want to make sure that we break down what does that mean, because I feel like everyone or a lot of folks can say they're a producer, and it's so different when talking to person A to person B to person C. So from your perspective, what do you do when it comes to production? What do you produce, and why do you love being a producer?
Oh, I love being a producer because I love being able to be creative and put something together. I love being able to take an idea from conception to completion and just see remember when this was just an idea and look at it now. Like, that to me is just so rewarding. But what do I do as a producer? I produce in three different aspects. So number one, I produce digital video content and television content. I'm currently not working in a position where I'm doing TV. I'm working for a meditation app. So we're creating still video content and audio content, but it's going onto an app and a website rather than going on linear or television or a streaming service. And so what that entails is, first you got to figure out what it is that what are we going to put up? Is this going to be a meditation? Is this going to be an interview? Is this going to be, like a 15-minute talk? Like, what is it that it is that we're going to put together here? And you have to create the content, which is like the script or the kind of outline of what's going to be discussed. And then there's a lot of what's called pre-production. So that's booking the production crew, the people who are actually going to shoot it, that are going to light it, the audio team, the cameramen, let me say camera people, because there are wonderful camera women out there as well, camera operators. And then, where is this going to shoot? You got to scout the location. Okay, like, this is the location, but we don't want to shoot in this room. We want to shoot in this room, but we don't want this angle. We want this angle. So there's a lot of kind of just the visual of it. What is it going to look like? And then after that, after everything is said and done, there's also wardrobe involved. What is everyone going to wear? Because there are certain things that you have to consider when it comes to television about wardrobe. Certain colors, especially based on your set and location, certain colors don't look good. Then they have the whole thing about like, logos that you don't want to have to pay for, or artwork in the background that you don't want to have to pay for. So there's a lot of
cleared.
Everything has to be cleared. Music, people can't just come on TV and start singing songs, like you have to pay for that stuff. So there's like so many things that you have to, or even things like if someone's going to come on and start talking about a book that they wrote, then you want to get certain things like, okay, let's see if we can get a digital copy of the book that we can put up as they're speaking about the book. So many things that you have to keep in mind. They're talking about their childhood. Okay, let's see if we can talk to their publicists and their people and get some photos of them as a kid, or photos they're talking about when their mother passed away. We want to get photos of their mother. So there's so many things to keep in mind, and the releases, that the location release and the materials release for any photos that you give us, and then the appearance release for appearing online. So there's just a lot of things. And then you go into
cracking up at Akila's face right now, you saying all these things. Akila's like, oh my gosh, she's stressed. I feel it.
That's when there's typically a team. Then you go into post-production. So that's when you actually do the editing, and then you have to confirm what the graphics are going to look like. And, do we want the graphics to be green, or do we want them to be red? And then what font do you want? And then is there going to be a sound that comes up? Is it going to like whoosh when it comes? And then, like there's so many different things that are involved in post-production. Then you go through what's called the rough cut, the fine cut, and the lock cut. So you make your notes, the editor, he makes the changes, he sends you another one. Then it's like, okay, you know what, let's delete this, let's cut this, let's bring this up, let's move this forward and put this back. And so, there's just a lot of kind of making it feel the way that it's supposed to feel, or cutting out anything that's awkward, or, oh, she coughs in the background, can we fix that in audio? Just so many different things to make it to bring it to a point where it's ready for the world to see. So that's what I do as a producer in audio content. And then I kind of talked already a little bit, but as a producer of live events and fashion shows, there's a lot of those same elements, but in live events, you're dealing with a live audience, and where are people going to sit? And then are we going to be selling tickets? And, for a fashion show, you have certain things like the staging, the runway. Are we going to have a stage runway, or are we going to walk on the ground? And, where's the backstage going to be? And how far do the models have to walk from backstage to get on the runway? Because we have to keep that in mind, with these quick changes, because sometimes you're wearing two looks within the same scene, or sometimes you're waiting for the next scene. So there's just a lot of that kind of thing. And especially also with runway production, it's about the order of the scene. So you have these different designers, and you don't want to have, let's say the three of us are in a fashion show, and Ebony, you're going to close out the scene and be the finale in the finale dress, and you're going to hold hands with the designer, and you're going to walk down, the designer is going to wave, and then you guys go backstage. You now cannot be the first person in the very next scene, because there's not enough time for you to change. So you have to keep that in mind. Who is in scene one? Okay, well, they can't be the same people that's in scene two. So we have to have a different group of people, of models that are going to be in scene two, and then scene one people can be in scene three, or okay, we can have two people, so there's a lot of that kind of just wrangling and maneuvering and coordinating who and when and how.
You need to, like, the organization of it all is what takes it for me. I have like a section in my phone called like Iyanla Fix My Life. That's my scheduling section and everything. I'm about to change it to Nikol. The amount of organization that I think that takes, and just like detail orientedness, like that's what folks don't talk about when it comes to production. Like obviously we know about like budgeting and probably like line producers, things of that nature, or just the folks who are just on the scene watching what's going on from scene to scene. But the behind the scenes and the detail that it truly takes to take something from ideation to really production is like, that's incredible. So awesome.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Honestly, like, whew, I mean, everything you were saying, low key, I mean, it was giving me a little like PTSD, like just working, like I now work in production, and I'm like, yeah, girl, it's all of that. And, since I'm helping and like assisting, I'm helping with the clearances, like, oh, calling the people, hey, can we have this photo? This person doesn't have any photos. We never took photos. And I'm like, how are you guys on a TV show? Y'all never took photos of each other behind the scenes. What is this mess? So now everyone's looking for stuff that doesn't exist. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. So it's all about like just figuring it out. Which as a producer, that's exactly, you just have to make it work, make it happen. But I also want to talk about still staying in the production space of like the fact that you worked at OWN and you literally toured with Oprah on her book tour, and just how that whole, like, first off, I need you to tell us the story of an Oprah story, number one. I know you have plenty, so pick a good one. And then just how, like, what was your role in that space, and how was your interaction as like the producer on like the Oprah book tour and working at OWN?
Yes. Well, I unfortunately didn't go on the book tour, but I did work on Oprah's book club, and we got to travel and do some things. But yes. So when I was at OWN for 6 years, and it was such a fabulous experience, which was another thing that I said, like, God just allows things to fall into my lap. I had been a PA on one episode of Iyanla Fix My Life. To be honest, my mother is a television producer, and she was a producer. She was a senior producer on Iyanla Fix My Life, and they were doing an episode here in LA. And at that time, I didn't have a day job. So I was just like modeling and acting and doing different things. And she was like, "Oh, you want to be a PA?" And I said, "Okay." She's like, "Okay, I'll put your name on the list and see if they pick you. So I got selected to be a PA on one episode of Iyanla Fix My Life, was shot in LA for 3 days. Then I got called back a couple of different times to do some PA stuff. And then they said, "Oh, they need someone in the OWN office for 6 weeks. Would you be available?" And I said, "Oh, okay." So I did a Zoom interview. I think it was Skype. It was a Skype interview. And then 6 weeks turned into 6 years of me being at OWN. So it wasn't even, I didn't apply for the job. I wasn't like, "Oh, I'd like to work at OWN." It was something that just kind of came and just fell in my lap. And from being what was supposed to start a 6-week position, I then eventually got transitioned into what was called the Tiger team at OWN, where I was in a specialized team that produced all of the specials for OWN and all Oprah content for OWN and Apple TV Plus. And we got to do something for HBO, and we got to do something for Netflix. So that was really exciting. And to be able to do all of the Oprah stuff, so all of the interviews, the Meghan and Harry interview and the Barack Obama interview, and just some like really cool people that we got to interview. And so that was kind of how that came about, just kind of being there. And that was how, getting the job that fell in my lap, and just being in the job that fell in my lap. And then just kind of,
Nikol, I don't know if that was just on my side, but
I heard that.
Okay.
Me too.
Well, I stopped because I was hearing myself
Crinkling.
kind of, yeah.
It stopped at you saying, okay, met a lot of great people, and then I think you were about to go into depth in one of the folks that you met. So maybe if you can just say.
Okay. Yeah, so then I got to meet a lot of great people through those interviews with Oprah. And so what I was doing there was I was an associate producer on the Tiger team, and I got to work on Oprah's book club. We had an Apple show called The Oprah Conversation, and we also did a special series that was called Oprah Talks COVID-19, and that was right when COVID hit. And that, let me just tell you that we worked through Easter. It was like it was a regular old Monday afternoon. Like it was so busy because there was so much happening, and we're trying to interview people from Italy, and we're trying to interview people from all over the world, and nurses, and we're trying to find the essential workers, and we're trying to find, and then we did another special on how COVID-19 affects Black people. And this was something that was really dear to Oprah's heart. And I'll tell you a good Oprah story is that we worked through Easter on this project, and we worked so hard, and we're finding all these people. And then she sent each of us a bottle of champagne and an orange. And we were all scheduled to get on a Zoom meeting with her. And then it was like, have a toast, do like a mimosa toast. And she was just kind of like a toast with Oprah on Zoom. And she would and she'll send these emails just to tell the team how proud she is of the different things that we were doing. And I can say that my time working on the Oprah content, what I loved is Oprah is all about, even like the Super Soul Sunday stuff, it's all about feeding your soul and growing yourself as a person and enhancing your mind, expanding your mind. So the people that she was interviewing, they would write books or whatever. They would be a specialist in something that was important to her or something that she felt like can really change the world or change how people think. And just having to work on those interviews would expose me to these people, because it wasn't just celebrities. They would be authors and doctors and different people. And so that really helped me to learn so many things that I probably otherwise would have never even been exposed to, just because that's not who I follow on social and that's not what I'm seeing in the news every day. So I don't even know who this author is or this person is. And it was really beneficial to me. And I would say that at my time at OWN, even when I first started and I was working on our online courses, and we were doing a lot of stuff with Brené Brown, who is a fantastic author and speaker and researcher. That just working on that, because that was my job, helped me to change the way that I see myself. Where sometimes I would look at myself and I would have like a negative idea. Because, we all have that critic in ourselves. We're our own, worst enemy or our hardest critic. And we're so hard on ourselves. And before, like I would come in there and I'm like, oh, that was so dumb of me. I should have never done that. Then after dealing with all, working in all this Brené Brown content, then it was like, you know what, that wasn't dumb. That was actually courageous of me to step back out after, such and such happened. And now I don't know what's going to happen this time, but I'm going to give it another chance and I'm going to go back out there. That wasn't dumb. That was smart. And it didn't work out, but that's okay, because some people would put up a wall and never do it again, but I'm going to go back out there. And so it's just altering my state of mind. And I think that was probably the biggest thing that came from my time working at OWN. And so another fun Oprah story, one time, she would come into the office sometimes and record like voiceover for something. And so she was doing an audio interview with Jimmy Kimmel. And so my boss, he asked me to come down and just be there, just in case if she needs something, he can stay there with her and I can just run and go grab it. So I said, okay. So I was like, well, this will be fun because it's like her in the audio booth. And so I can see her, and there was a big window and she kept looking like, who is this? Who is this girl in this room? And so I had heard these stories about like, don't get in the elevator if Oprah's in the elevator. So we all leave the audio booth and we're going upstairs. And so everyone gets in the elevator and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna get in. And so then my boss was like, Nikol, come on. So I said, oh, okay. So then I go and I kind of just, I'm just quiet in the elevator. And so she caught my name when he said it. So she said, Nikol, how are you today? And I said, oh, I'm good. Thank you. And then we were doing a big celebration of her birthday that day in the office. So I said, oh, happy birthday, by the way. And she said, oh, it is that time, is it? And I do have one of those. And then she kind of just got off the elevator and I was like, okay. But that was my only time actually like really dealing with her and talking to her directly. And most of the other times it was kind of just in passing.
That's
so
funny.
So fun. And it's, it's so interesting how small I would say like this whole industry is. So I was like we called it the Tiger Team too, but at Apple when we were doing the Oprah production as well as HBO. So it's crazy how you were on the other side of that this whole time. So
right.
Awesome. I think also I want to make sure that we touch on something else that you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation. You mentioned like God has been kind of such a through line when it comes to your journey. And so I want to just give you the floor to really like just delve into that, because I think it's important, especially having that sense of gratitude, that sense of like, just grounding, which it seems like not only through obviously working on things like Super Soul Sunday, which you can't leave that and not be grounded, but also just obviously your own journey with God.
Yeah, absolutely. I just feel like God has been guiding my steps, but I also have to say that's also been a prayer of mine for years. Because I always say, God, I just ask you to place me in front of the people I need to meet and in the places I need to be. And that has been how things have seemed to happen for me. Because so many of the things that have happened in my life that I have found a passion for or fallen in love with were not something that I actively pursued on my own out of a conscious thought, like, I want to do this, let me try to do this. It was never that. It was something that just kind of came. And then I would say, okay, let me try this. And I know that that's God. And I know that he's guiding my steps, because it's been like a sweatless victory. It's been easy. It's been easy for me to fall into place. It's been easy for me to catch on, because even working for OWN, that basically was my first TV job. I had been a PA, but I was like going and picking up crafty, and I'm just like, tell me what to do and I'll do it. And so I didn't have TV experience, but to go from having no TV experience to now being on Oprah's specified production team, how does that work? You know, I just know that it's him, and you have to stay grateful and you have to stay connected. And I do feel like, you know, Oprah, one of the things that I found about this Oprah quote that I just love, and she says, find what sparks the light in you and use that light to ignite the world. And I'm like, oh, that's so good. And I feel like that also goes along with just like finding your purpose, the purpose that God has for you. And as long as you're following in what he's saying, or just kind of, and a lot of times I'll say, like, God, I don't know if this is for you or from you, but if it's not, then don't let it work out. Because if it is, I'm gonna go for it. Okay, it's working out, God. I'm taking this as a sign. It's from you. And I think that as long as you're trying to follow in God's footsteps, then, you know, he's going to give you the credit for that. And if you misstep, he's going to redirect you. But you have to keep moving. And I think sometimes I get afraid. I let fear get to me and I don't want to do anything and I just stop. But me stopping is an issue, because when you're walking in your purpose and you're walking in the things that God has given for you to do, that's glory to him. That's praise to him. That's great, because you are someone, you are one of his children. You are shining his light in areas that he's putting you in. So, you know, you can work in the music industry and be Christian, and you don't have to be working in gospel music. You know, you can work in the entertainment industry or in the fashion industry, and you can be doing whatever, but well, I don't want to say doing whatever, but you can be doing things that aren't necessarily Christian based, but still be walking in your purpose, because God needs us in all areas. And so for me, it's just about, you know, staying connected and not getting too far. You know, I feel like with the pandemic and not going to church, like I've kind of like fallen away a little bit farther than I've wanted to. And so I've recently been like, okay, God, like, I can't get too far from you. I need to make sure that I stay connected, because you are the foundation of it all. You know, and I just need God to be a foundation in my relationships, in my career, in my businesses. And I pray over my businesses. And one thing too is that, you know, with One Strut, it's not just me. With Nikol Talent Group, it's just me. But with One Strut, there's a group of us, and we are all, you know, we start our rehearsals with prayer and we end our rehearsals with prayer. Like, all right, all, let's pray in. All right, let's pray out. You guys have a good, see you next week. You know, and we do that. And we, you know, okay, we just submitted to this. Okay, you guys say a prayer about this. And I think that's important, at least for me. And I'll speak for myself here. That's important for me, because I love knowing that whatever comes against us, that we can come together in agreement and we have God on our side.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's amazing. I think it's so important to stay grounded. I think it's so important to like have something to just continue to refer back to and call out on and settle on and come back to center, because there's so many distractions and so many other things going on. But Akilah, tell us what they should not be distracted about at all. Okay.
Yes. Keep your focus and keep your drive steadfast when you are following and watching the Black Creators Club. All right. We work hard to produce this show, to host this show, to find amazing guests like Nikol. And so what you can do to help support us, rate, review, like, comment, subscribe. Everything is at the Black Creators Club. That's on YouTube. That's on Apple Podcasts. That's on Spotify. And if you want to be a guest or know someone who would be such an amazing guest and has their own story to tell, we're always happy to hear from you. It's at theblackcreatorsclub@gmail.com.
Perfect. Okay. So now we're kind of going to get into a little game, something fun. It's a little quick fire vibe. So it's going to, we're titling the game Strut the Runway.
Ooh.
Okay. Yes. So we're going to give you a list of some celebrities, and you tell us who you would like to take modeling advice from, or who you would actually, out of the two of them, want to give modeling advice to, and like what their problem is. You know, like
Okay.
Fire. So you don't got to do. You don't got to do the whole PowerPoint.
A whole thing, but yeah. Okay, so your first face off is Carisha from the City Girls or Cardi B.
Who would I want to take modeling advice from, or who would I want to give modeling advice to?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I would want to give modeling advice to Carisha. And I think I would just tell her to just be a little bit more subtle. Just bring it down a little bit. With modeling, you don't have to do so much. You can just bring it in a little. That's all.
Right. That's valid. It's valid for life in general with everyone. Everyone could be a little nip and tuck every now and then. So, the next two, it's a tough one to choose between, Tyra Banks or Naomi Campbell.
Ooh.
Are you taking advice or are you giving advice?
Oh, I'm taking advice from either of them, but I think that one's difficult. I think if I'm going to take modeling advice, I'd probably take it from Naomi. If I'm going to take business advice, I'd probably take it from Tyra.
Makes sense. Complete sense.
Makes complete sense. Okay. The next one is Megan Thee Stallion or Rihanna.
Oh, my goodness. What I like about Megan is that Megan is a stallion. Like, she is not your typical size. She's not your typical anything, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to go with Rihanna, and I will take any advice that she wants to give. I'll take it. Thank you. And if you want to hire me, I'll accept.
Period. Next to Heidi Klum or Bella Hadid.
Ooh. That one's hard too, because they're like two different generations. What I like about Heidi is I feel like, from what I've seen of her on, I've never met her or anything, but what I've seen of her on Project Runway, when she was hosting that, she seems like someone who wants to coach and give information. Like, that's the same kind of feeling that I get from Tyra, and like what I'm seeing with her on America's Next Top Model. Like, she's trying to help and provide information. So I would love to get information from Heidi, but what I would appreciate from Bella is that she's in the game now and she can give that up to date. This is what's happening in the moment. So if I had to choose, that one's hard. I probably still would choose Heidi because she's a legend and she's like a super, super model, but I really would take advice from both.
Love that. Okay, so your last and final matchup is Chanel Iman or Chloe Bailey.
I would take advice from Chanel Iman, and Chloe Bailey. I love Chloe. I do.
I know, girl.
Sometimes I feel like she's doing a little extras, but she's young. So let her live her life. I'm not even going to give her advice. I'm going to let her do her thing. She'll learn. She'll learn on her own, whatever she needs to learn.
Yes,
absolutely. I mean, I think she's learning it, but I don't know. Actually, I don't know if she's learning it. She's hearing the advice, but she's not taking it.
She's learning it. She's doing the same thing in a new age. Beyonce came out with and nobody was saying anything. Okay, so let her live her life.
I am weak. Oh my God, Nikol, this has been. I mean, Keeks, okay, you making some points, sis. All right, we're gonna let it lay where it is. We're gonna table that for another conversation. But Nikol, this has been amazing. We've had such an amazing conversation. We've learned so much. You are literally the jack of all trades and a master of all of them, because you literally have your hand in everything. They all tie in together, but they're all different spaces too. And we didn't even talk about the commercials you did, the VOs that you've been doing, all the features going on, girl. Like, you are really killing the game.
Part two.
Right. I am so proud of you. I'm so happy to like claim you as my friend. And this is like such an amazing moment. And I'm super excited. So please let the listeners know where they can find you, where they can find One Strut, if they want some coaching advice. Y'all, this is your girl. Okay. We need a little dance. I'm trying to be on the runway too.
I know. See, too bad Akila is out of town right now because I could have given you guys some tips, give you a little walking lesson. You know, we could have done that, but we can do it anytime. Yeah, we can do it anytime. Yes, if you are looking for me, you're looking for some runway coaching, or you just want to connect, you can go to my website, which is NikolDavis.net, and it's Nikol, NikolDavis.net. You can find me on Instagram at So Ridiculous, which is a little hard to find. It's SOOO, 3 O's, RINIKULOUS. You can also find One Strut on Instagram at One Strut or at onestrut.com. And then you can also find us at NikolTalentGroup.com, which is NIKOL talentgroup.com, or Nikol Talent Group on Instagram.
Perfect. Keeks, where can they find you?
Yes, you can find me chatting media and life motivation, all with a dash of style, platforms. Eb, what about you?
All right, you guys can find me on Instagram at EbonyChapman12, talking everything Black-owned business, and of course, the Black Creators Club. We have had the most amazing time today, you guys, and remember to always abide by your ABCs.
Always be creating.
Bye, guys.
Yay!